In a partnership, discussion is fundamental. Men discuss differently than women, and as women, we need to recognize that. Men are socially conditioned to hide their feelings. They are socially conditioned to not cry, to never show feelings of grief, sorrow, anger, basically to suppress emotions and just keep it moving. So what this does is it creates this emptiness inside of man. Okay? Because when we're not expressing ourselves, we are not lively with ourselves, because to be expressive is to be energetic. So men, when they have certain feelings, what they do is they go in their man cave. And as women, we need to respect that, okay? When women, when they need to experience their feelings, they don't go into a cave. Women express themselves immediately. We are emotional, and we want our emotions to be listened to. Now, the way women express their emotions is, for men, can seem quite emotional because men just don't have that emotional capacity to feel deeply and quite dynamically. So when we have feelings of grief or sorrow, we need to allow ourselves to experience it. Or we get shut down with ourselves. And when we kind of shut down with ourselves, men can notice we kind of become quite strange, maybe, or isolated. Now, when men go into their man cave, they're not necessarily isolating themselves in the way I'm going to some island, I'll see you when I want to see you kind of thing. It's more so it's that space to really reflect and review those emotions before they come forward and present themselves to you. Well, women, when we particularly don't feel safe to express our emotions, we can isolate ourselves, literally like shut ourselves down. And when we do that to our man partner, it makes it very difficult for him to understand us. Because men, understanding women is very complex. Women are. So if we shut down our emotions because we feel unsafe, or maybe we felt ignored, or our partner wasn't listening to us, when we really shut down, it's the understanding of woman is a lot more complicated than it was before. So as men, you need to recognize that safety is very important for a woman, to feel safe, that she can communicate her feelings, because when she feels ignored, or when she feels like you're just kind of, checked out, because men get spacey when they're working or when they're focused on something, they get really spaced out. They're just somewhere else and like, hello, knock, 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 like, come on. So it's important for you guys to recognize that what really helps us feel more safe and therefore give you more love is when you listen to us, when you're attentive to us. Now, when we don't get that, women become quite needy, okay? Where there's women that are like very like, yeah, I need it, that whiny thing. It's basically because they've been building so much emotion inside of themselves. And now that you've given them just the slightest doorway for them to communicate, they're like, well, I'm not whiny and needy. But if we are allowed moments where we can just experience our emotions with you as our partner, that whole buildup of emotion won't happen, and that whiny, needy stuff won't happen either. Okay? So, for women, it's important to know that men do space out. Okay? That is how they cope with not only their emotions, but just the day-to-day life. There's pressure on men. Okay? And there's a different kind of pressure on women. Okay, the pressure on man is their way of dealing is kind of spacing out. Okay, and as women, when we feel any sort of pressure, what we want to do is open our emotions to discuss. So I would say when it comes to the relationship working is discussion. Now, like I said, like when men, I've seen men and they have their, little groups and men talk about things and the conversations between men is kind of like a text message is, how are you doing? Good. End of discussion. Go out to some sort of, guy event or guy part, whatever thing. And basically all the thing they're talking about is, it's kind of quiet. It's like crickets in their room. It's very, just about kind of the work or possessions or, a game or these kinds of things. It's not really deep. And that's just kind of the archetype of man. But when women, they go out to their groups, it's just, there's a lot of discussion going on. It's very deep. It's very emotional. It's very much about getting to the root of things. Well, men is kind of like, just the surface of things. We just talk about the surface. So when men kind of, when they go home to their woman, they're not bringing that the way they talk with guys, because it doesn't work with women. Women's like, huh? Like, this surface level discussion is not really going anywhere. Like, what? I don't understand. So women don't understand the surface level of discussion. Like guys, they kind of just talk about, I don't know what they talk about. Women, we just don't understand that surface level of discussion, because when we discuss from a deeper place, an emotional place, a place of, we want to get to know you, almost like get to know your soul and really be with you in a very intimate way. Well, guys, you don't see them doing some intimate stuff. It's like, no, that doesn't happen. But when us girls get together, it can be very intimate. There can be tears. There can be breakthroughs. There can be moments of loss, grief, or moments of realization. That's the woman group. That's not the guy group. So when men and women, like these two different sort of archetypes, come together, it's the discussion that really links them together. And when there's no discussion for woman, it's like, because we are so dynamic and we have so much depth, so we kind of we think about what do they think, or what do they feel, or what are they feeling now? You know what I'm saying? We do that sometimes. We're like, what is he feeling now? Like, I want to know. He's not talking to me, or he's like kind of spaced out. Like, what does he feel? Kind of thing. And as women, is like the man's emotion can be deep, but it's not expressed. So it's there inside of him. It's just the expression of it is something a man has to develop, and it takes time and usually maturity for a man to develop. So usually a man around 30s really develops that ability to express that depth. Okay, man in their 20s, they don't know, they feel something inside of themselves, like a connection, or they feel joy, or they just feel drawn to this person, but they don't know how to express it. The way they express it can be very just odd. Okay, so as women, as we know, we mature, okay, quicker than men. Even our emotions mature quicker than men. So it's important to recognize that for men, it's patience. For women, it's safety. We want safety, we need it, or we get more insecure, okay, because that insecurity, women have, it's because they don't feel safe. If women felt truly safe, and it was really made clear that their partner really is there has their back, makes them feel safe, they're going to be pretty, authentic, and that's what a man wants. It wants a woman to be authentic, not just like what is it called, a beck and call thing. No, that's boring. So it's like men may be surface level in their archetype of the way to kind of communicate and things and talk with guys, but deep inside they want that polarity. They don't want surface level because they get that with the guys. So when they have a woman, they want depth because that's polarity. And as a woman, like, we don't want in a guy some woman we go to yoga with. I mean, that's, you know, wonderful, have a guy that goes to yoga with, but we're looking for that polarity. We're looking for something more concrete, something more solid, rather than like in the girl groups, we just kind of gossip about elusive things. We want something more concrete because that's our polarity. Women, we are emotionally ambiguous, and men are emotionally kind of concrete, really like set in their ways, set in stone. This is how it is, this is how it is. And we want that polarity because that's kind of, that's what gives us a sense of balance, okay? So when we aren't safe, we can't be authentic, and then we can't be deep. And therefore we just kind of do the surface level thing with a guy. And then eventually that guy's kind of like, this is not really, it's not really, you know, moving me. It's not moving me, because depth moves people. It's like jazz. It moves you. It moves you. It moves you. And that's what guys want. And I feel like with girls in this, the archetype, when we talk about the yin and yang and that whole relationship dynamic, we want stability, we want consistency, okay? It's like we want that tree in which we can kind of play with. Like we're like, you know, we're like the owl, and we're looking for a tree to create our nest, a really reliable tree, a sturdy tree. We want to create a nest in that tree where we can, you know, have our kids as an owl, and we can fly through, and we can, you know, just be shaded by the sun, kind of thing. That's kind of the dynamic of woman and man. So with man and patience, so that's very important. Either a guy's 30 or 20 or whatever sort of age difference is going on, it's patience with a man. Like I said, when man has an emotion, he processes it slower than women. Women, we're like, our emotions just so, you know, that kind of thing. It's a rush for women. But for men, they have emotions, but it's very, it has to be processed, and it's a slow process for man, because they don't have that expression we women naturally have, where we just, the emotion, I know exactly what to say, that kind of thing. No. So with patience is allow that man to go in that man cave. Don't sit there and try to get him to talk to you when he's not ready, because all you're going to get is probably him shutting down. Because when we're impatient with men, men shut down. When we don't feel safe, we shut down. So it's like we, you know, men and women shut down, but for different things. And then when they feel a woman's very impatient and she's kind of like, you know, like kind of thing with him, he shuts down, because men, I mean, look at, you know, men out in the wild, you know, men want their woman to be happy, you know? It's like a tree. It wants to have owl nest in its branches, you know? It gives the tree a sense of purpose. Like, let's, you know, there's a little nest in my tree, like it's happy, there's little owls going on, like, whoa, that's exciting. But it's patience for a man, and him to go into that man cave and to review and to reflect, so that when he comes forward, he's coming forward emotionally available and open, rather than emotionally like kind of on edge, wondering if his emotions are going to be taken the wrong way or rejected, or, you know, the woman's going to say something that causes him to feel even more closed off, because men are already feeling emotionally closed off, because that's just how our society is. So when they are available for emotional discussion with a woman, and they feel in any way that she may reject him, that she may, like, you know, do just kind of, you know, claw at him and stuff like that, he doesn't want that, because that, you know, he doesn't want to be even more closed off than he already is, because the whole thing of a relationship for a man is so that he can be more heart opened, heart centered, not more heart closed, because it's already, men have it in their physiology to have basically smaller heart chakras than women, because we have so much emotion, because we have children. We have to be compassionate, we have to have unconditional love. It has to be, because our kids wouldn't survive without that, you know? They wouldn't really make it in this world without that compassion, unconditional love, or nurture, or care. So we naturally have a bigger heart chakra. Now with men and women, men is looking for someone that can really open up his heart chakra. And for men, it's patience, because if it happens like that, it, you know, just, I want you to just be wide open for me kind of thing. women, we can just open our heart just like, why? Just like in a second. But it's a process for men, okay? And particularly when women have that wide open heart chakra and they don't feel safe, when they shut down, they can shut down entirely, okay? And that's when we get distrust. And once a woman really has a sense of distrust, it doesn't really go away. It's like it can be remedied and it can be restored and it can be resolved, these kinds of things. But the heart chakra will never be as open as it was before. Never. So it may be very open, but it won't be as open. And that's what a man loves, is like that, whoa, a woman's heart chakra is like, whoa, so open, exciting, and like this is something really captivating me, you know? Because among guy groups, there's nothing very captivating. It's kind of like same, oh, you know, how's the work, or, you know, how's the football game, or, oh, you know, what are you building, what are you working on, what's your project, that kind of thing. It's nothing very, like, really captivating kind of thing. It's bond. It's like a bond. You know, like when you play baseball together, it's like a bond. But with women, it's like a journey. And that journey is one of intimacy because of the woman. The woman creates the journey. The woman creates the intimacy, not the man. Okay? The man creates the bond with her. And when that bond is there, that creates a feeling of safety for the woman and a feeling of patience for the man. So I wanted to discuss about this because it was something moving through my stream of consciousness. So I hope that this has helped you. But overall, discussion, particularly for men, is a lot more difficult for them to really open themselves off, particularly if they are very closed off or shut down because women rejected them, or women kind of clawed at them and made them feel just very torn up inside. Opening that heart can be challenging, but if it doesn't, for a man, he's never really going to have a discussion with a woman, and then he's never really going to have a relationship. Let's just be honest. So, I mean, you can do that whole route where you just want to keep it closed, keep it locked down, but you're never going to have what we call an intimate relationship with someone. It may just be sexual and that kind of thing, or just mental, but it's not an intimate bond with another, you know? It's not really a relationship because there's no patience and there's no safety. It's just kind of, it's not there. There's no trust. When you don't open your heart to someone, you don't trust them, and you can never build that trust, and there's no bond. It's like baseball. You trust each other. That's why you rely on each other, because you trust each other. So discussion is that bridge. It's that bridge that bridges a team together, like a baseball team, where a bond is created from trust, and now you can rely on each other. Discussion is how we are able to resolve things and is able to really just fan out what we need to fan out in our hearts, so that we're not building up emotions and then becoming quite rigid and quite stone-hearted and irritable emotionally, but we are becoming more courageous with our heart. And therefore, when we form a relationship with someone, it's coming from a place not of a stone hard heart, but a place of courage, you know, a place of courage. So that's kind of what I think when sharing with another person something like emotion-wise. It's courage, and to receive somebody's emotion is courage, but that courage is what creates a connection, creates trust and reliability and sense of safety and patience. And without those fundamental things, it's kind of like a relationship that it's not captivating. It just, I guess, is there for Instagram. That's it. That's pretty much the synopsis of the relationship is just for Instagram. It's just for show.